inside the crazy ant farm. How are you?
I am doing good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. We are super excited to talk to you today. We always love, I know my man Logan, a huge fan of the show. I'm about to jump on the show because they won't stop talking about it. So, so I can't wait. I can't wait to dive in and start to check it out myself. But we are super excited to talk to you because your story, doing the research and everything, is very inspiring. And it's always, this podcast is for the up and comers. And so we always like to have people on that are like in it and doing it and showing that it can be done no matter where you're at or how you get started. So let's go there. Is this something you always kind of knew you wanted to do? Did you kind of fall into it? Like, what was the path to say, acting, that's me, that's what I'm going to do?
So it's it's a little bit tricky because I don't actually recall memories of me thinking I'm going to be an actor or me ever even saying it as a very young child.
Mm-hmm.
But when I mentioned that to my mom one day when we were on the phone, I said, I didn't have that. Like, I'm going to be an actor when I was little. She was like, you don't remember? And I was like, remember what? She was like, you used to perform for us all the time. So I guess it was always there, but I just never had I never said it out loud when I was very little that I wanted to be an actor, but I guess it was always in me. And so as I grew around like 12 or 13, I really wanted to be a dancer first. And so I told my mom, I want to be a dancer. Do you know anybody that can help me, make up a dance? Because I wanted to audition for Kappa, which is the performing arts high school in Philly.
Yeah, nice.
And yeah. And so she actually knew a friend of hers at work had a sister who was a professional dancer. And she was like, okay, I'm going to ask her. She got her to choreograph a dance for me. And I actually did really well I had no training. Dancers normally they come up at 2 and 8.
Hardcore.
I had no training at all. And I actually did really well for no training. But I wound up, this is a life lesson that I haven't really shared actually publicly because I am putting it in. I have a little project that I'm working on myself. Let me not say little. We always do that.
That's right.
No, I have a project that I'm working on. And so I was never really sure if I wanted to share it, but I'll share a little bit.
Well, we won't tell anybody.
I basically lied on my application.
Oh.
And I said I had more experience than I had.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did not get in. When I write about it or, when you see this project, it'll go into it a little bit deeper. But that's basically the gist of it. I lied on the application, so I did not get in. But it's a testament to people out there, like, just be okay with who you are and where you are. Because your gift will make room for you. I firmly believe if I did not lie and I walked in that room and showed them what I did with no training, they would have been like, wait, what? Okay, yes, let's sign her up because we know where she could go.
Right.
But when you say you got training and you show up like, this is like, no, that don't happen.
Well, I'm so happy you shared that story, though, because, you go back and you hear all of these different testaments to where, like, if somebody on your resume, if you can kind of make an accent, put that on there. Or if you can horseback ride, put that on there. Like, all of this different stuff. And I'm a big fan of Friends, and you know how once upon a time Joey was like, yeah, I can speak French, and like this dude could not freaking speak French, so like they made it kind of like a joke. But that stuff happens in real life because you want to do whatever you can to get your foot in the door, to be in the room where it happens. So many more stories happen like that, and honestly, you're the first person to admit to it. So I'm thankful for that, because a lot of people try to hide that. But we also have a mental health podcast, and we talk about how it's important to just be open and put it all out there, because that's what liberates you. That's what makes you free from those type of things and don't make you feel bad about certain situations.
And I think it's really good because by doing that, right, I feel like when you continue the lie and then the next one, because I feel like that's the path, right? Then that's when you start to lose your self-worth. And that's because you begin to believe that if they know the truth, you're somehow not worthy of getting in on your own, that you're not good enough.
let's start there. Like, well, first of all, if you're lying, then you already believe you're not worthy. Period.
Exactly.
So it starts with not worthy, but you're absolutely right. Then it spins into this cycle. Now you have to keep up this lie, you know, throughout the whole, and with, especially with something like that, it's different where, like, for instance, I don't know his name. I did not see the movie. Don't kill me. But Black Panther 2, the second one.
Yeah.
I have not seen it yet. But the guy from, where is he from? He played the swimming, the guy who was in the water.
Yeah. Namor.
Okay, cool. Because I don't know any of that yet. So he, you know, his part of his spiel or his story when he was going around, you know, doing PR for it, was that he did lie. He said that he could swim and he could do all these things, and he couldn't. But the difference between, I think, that and what in my story is that he knew that he had time to prep.
Right.
It's different. So it's like, okay, you want these skills, you saying you want what? Okay, sure. But I know that we're not going to film to this. So I'm going to go and grab those skills. Right. It's not like he said, yes, I know how to do it, and did not, you know, learn.
Yeah,
exactly. And came to set like, yeah, what's up? Let's do it. Like, wait, what? No. If you're going to do that, you have to be sure that you're going to then learn the skill.
Sure.
So it's very different when, like you mentioned, Joey on Friends. It's like, yeah, you're saying that, but you know, you gotta show up on set next week.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's not appropriate, and it's actually it's a bad. I think a lot of people look at this industry like it's not professional.
No, that's exactly
you
right.
know, like it's not still like the rules of like corporacy. Yes, we're a little bit lax because we're artists, but at the end of the day, it's still your reputation. So you say you could do something and you show up and you can't do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do people think of you now? And people do talk. Not saying they're going to blacklist you forever.
Right.
I think you can still come back, but they do talk. And so now you got to worry about that. Who knows who and who's telling them don't work with you? It's just so much. It's like, just don't do it unless you really know you're going to have time to develop that skill. And, you know,
two things out of all that, because that's a great point, because we had Mabel Cadena on, who played Namor's daughter, and she talked about how even after they were cast, they spent a year in training. So even if you knew how to swim, you know, Ryan Coogler's thing was, but you don't know how to swim the way we need you to swim. We're going to train you. So even if he didn't know
submarine.
how. Exactly. So even if he didn't know how to swim, nobody would know, because they were going to train him how to swim anyway.
So that's another thing. It's also, you know, what kind of film you're auditioning for. He's not saying, I know how to do this accent and I'm a co-star, so I got to come right in and do it. He knows that I'm a lead in this film.
That's right.
They're going to have me go through training anyway. I ain't stupid. Let me go ahead and say I could. You know what I mean? You got to use your common sense and brain. But a lot of people will hear that story. I think it's important to talk about, because a lot of people will hear his story and say, fuck it, I'm going to go and lie my way through this industry like it's nothing. And then you worry why you're not getting anywhere.
And that goes back to the second point you said. It's your job. It's no different than if you were an accountant and you lied about how you could do accounting, and then you go in and show up and you don't know what the fuck a debit is. Like, you're in big trouble, right? A lot of people think, like you said, it's entertainment, and it's we're creatives, so it somehow is like a hobby and not like but this is a job, and you can't be unprofessional in a job, because this is a much smaller community than people realize. Everybody does know everybody, so you might know this person who knows this person who knows this person, and now that person knows you last lied and can't do what you said you were going to do. And it's very important to build your reputation properly. I'm so glad you brought that up, because it is like something that's, I think, critical for up and comers. You got to do it the right way.
Yeah.
I just, wow. I mean, it's been not even 10 minutes into this conversation. We got deep. I love it. These are the type of interviews we love, because, you know, that's real. That's raw. It's
hard for me not to get deep. It's hard for me not to go there. Well, surface is a little bit hard for me. You know, being surface is very awkward for me. I'm like,
no, we need that. No, we need more of those stories. It's so important. But I mean, let's talk about the crossover a little bit, because this is the one that, I mean, for me personally, it's so refreshing to see, because everything right now, and I saw you did a previous interview talking about this a little bit too, where you have done a lot of dramatic performances, a lot of hardcore deep dramas, but coming out of the pandemic and being locked up, you're trying to catch a breath of fresh air, trying to look for something different to where it can be, you know, a little bit more lighthearted, even though it still deals with very hardcore, serious subject matter. But it's just such a good representation of a beautiful family of color, and like your character, a beautiful woman who is in a administrative role, who goes for that top spot and succeeds, and dealing with the dynamic of her sons who are very different in their own right, and the dad who is maybe hiding some hardcore health stuff. It's all of these beautiful things wrapped into one, because that's what family is. So it's a real life like mirror to what society is. So I can only imagine what it was like being on set and being able to tell that story.
Yeah. Well, the crossover, for those who don't know, is on Disney Plus. Go check it out. Go stream it now.
Yes. Sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. But yes. So funny enough, though, I'll correct one little part of your story.
Please.
I actually book a lot of comedy.
Okay.
But most people who know me and know my work, like if they know me personally, and they also have like been in a class with me or have seen, I always get the dramatic stuff, right?
Yeah.
People don't really meet me and automatically think comedy or lighthearted even.
Right.
I am from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And not saying there's no lighthearted people there. Of course, there are a variety of people everywhere, but we all know the East Coast, generally, we have a thicker skin. We have a tougher, we have an edge to us. You know, we're all about, you know, when you leave out the house, you got to protect yourself, you know,
right.
Keep your head on the swivel type of thing. And so that is always there. And then, you know, you think about people traumas and whatever else. I just don't carry a super light energy is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I have light around me. I definitely shine, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? But
Absolutely.
But I carry a serious energy. And so people and myself will automatically assume that a major role, you know, like my first series regular like this is, would be something serious.
Right.
Like, even I thought that, you know, and I always use like How to Get Away with Murder or, you know, sort of thing. If we're talking about series, you know, something a bit more just that kind of matches my personality a bit more. But funny enough, I book comedy more, which is very interesting. So yes, I thought that would be the thing when I'm going to book my claim to fame is going to be some deep, you know, drama, some deep artistic, I don't know, something that, you know, and it wasn't. And so it was shocking to me, but also, yes, refreshing because being in the pandemic, you know, I was like, you know, I think I want something light. I don't want to have to go to work every day because a lot of people don't. Well, it does depend on the artist, but just imagine going to work every day and doing something very, very dark or, you know, every single day. Hint for those out there, I still want to.
right, exactly.
but coming out of something, you know, coming out of a place where you were alone a lot, you were, you know, confined to your house, you're dealing with anxiety and stress of other things. It's just, I was okay with this, you know, and for those out there, so you know, it's not super light. Like it's not. One of my friends was like, "What is it? It's going to be like, you know, like Nickelodeon-ish or like?" And I'm like, "Did you watch the trailer?"
Right.
Like, yeah, I can't tell. I'm like, well, from the trailer, you should be able to tell that it's not, you know, like super kiddie.
Right.
So it's not this super, you know, light thing. It does deal with issues and we have challenges, but it is a feel good series.
Yeah.
You know, and so you are going to still get your drama. It's not corny, you know. That's all I have to say. We say corny from the East Coast, like it's not corny. It's not a corny show. It's not a whack show. Like you're really going to enjoy it. And you mentioned all of those things. I was listening to you, just like it deals with this, it deals with that, it deals with this. it's so hard when people ask us, what do you want people to walk away from the show with? It's
Right.
like, it's so much to walk away with.
Yeah.
It's like, everything.
Everything.
You'll see, you're going to relate to it no matter who you are. I really believe you're going to relate to it. The show is also a testament of human beings and human nature to me.
Mm-hmm.
I have a real problem with this industry on how they market stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is a Black family, and I'm so thankful it's a Black family. Another thing that made me excited about it is that it's a brown family, not just a Black family. And
Right.
people, I know some people are like, wait, what? Like, why does that matter? It matters. Colorism is very real.
Mm-hmm.
And so it matters to see a brown on brown, family.
Absolutely.
And so I was very excited about that. But damn, I'm losing my train of thought. Oh, God.
Well, let me jump in right there then, because I
Yes.
think also, because you brought up the marketing aspect of it, right?
Yes,
There's only
that's
two
right.
ways that it seems like Hollywood ever wants to market this, right? You've got the Cosby Show, which is just like this fantasy. Not everybody's family is a doctor and a lawyer and everything's perfect and they're all going to college. And I mean, that's great. They showed a family unit together, but that's not reality. Or they go the other way and it's a family of color is a broken home. The dad's a drug addict or in jail,
And that's what
the
I
kids
say,
are in
yes.
trouble. Right. So this is
Yes.
amazing. It's like, no, this is a family that's struggling like every other family in America, but they love each other and they're getting
Where's
through
the
it.
middle class?
Exactly.
Yeah, where's the middle class? And, they are upper middle class, but they are still middle class. And I grew up lower middle class. I grew up middle class, but check to check, middle class.
Right.
Middle class.
Yeah.
And so I was always feeling like that middle area is never quite really told.
Exactly.
Especially for Black people. Like you said, it's mainly you're either truly struggling, you're from the hood, you're struggling, which is not, a bad thing. Everybody's story deserves to be told.
That's right.
But when it's strategically being played that we're only going to show this because we want to keep society viewing you in this way.
That's
it's like,
right.
that is not the truth. We have poor people, middle class, and rich. But yes, they go the opposite way. It's like either they're going to be poor or they're going to be super rich. And it's like, and the Cosbys, I will say, they weren't super rich. So I will say for me, they did have a realism to the Cosbys. Oh, and for those out there, hint, hint, there's somebody from the Cosby Show.
That's
little,
right.
Little tease.
Yeah.
We got a legend on the show. So if you're trying to figure out who the legend is, go and watch the crossover.
Yes.
But I feel like they did do a good job at bringing like realism, to the Cosbys. But yes, you're right. It's either one or the other a lot. And I'm so glad we got to show like middle class. But I'm so glad you stuck on the point of marketing, because that's where I was going.
Yeah.
I don't like the way they market Black shows to only Black people.
Yeah.
Or people of color, because you don't do that for white shows and you don't do that for white films.
Exactly.
And and so and the same thing with Asian shows or whatever other, they're always trying to market it to those people. And it's like, of course, market it to us. We want to see ourselves. But the only way things are going to change is when other people, and by other, I mean white,
Yes.
will see themselves in Black people.
That's right. That's right.
And so why? I get you're trying to get views on this. And so I understand both plays, but both needs to happen. I shouldn't turn on my Netflix and only see Black movies and Black TV shows. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that shouldn't be the case. Like, you should turn on Netflix, you should turn on Disney, you should turn on whatever these streaming platforms are, and you should see a variety of things.
Yes.
Because unfortunately, the majority is never really looking outside of themselves. There might be a handful that's like, oh, I'm interested in this. Let me see but I'm talking about as a majority. You know what I mean?
Yep.
They're not seeking it. And so if you want society to change, but that's the thing, do they really want society to change?
That's the thing. Yep.
If you want society to change, start marketing these things to the masses, right? To everyone. You have to. It's just, it's annoying to me to like, oh, because it's a Black series. I mean, Black people in the series or in the movie. It's like, I'm going to see this Black movie. I'm going to see this Black show. It's like, no, you're just going to see a show.
Yeah.
And so I really do believe no matter who you are, if you watch the crossover, you are going to, you're going to see yourself in some way, shape, or form. And that's the greatness of kids too, because I do have kids of different races like hitting me up and like, you're my favorite character. And I'm like, how the hell am I your favorite character? You're so little, like you're a little person, but they kids they want to see what's out there, if they're able to, if they're allowed to, they want to see what's out there. So it's, I really hope they start marketing things differently, because I'm thankful that I do watch a bunch of different stuff. So on my Netflix, I do see a bunch of different stuff, but that's because I seek it. But a lot of ethnicities are, because we grew up, white people were the mainstream. So of course we grew up on your stuff. So it's natural for us to watch outside. Right.
Yeah.
So, I hope it changes.
No, I completely understand. And kind of in the same vein, like if coming from the East Coast, you shot this thing entirely in the South, in Louisiana, where it can be a little bit more cultured, in New Orleans specifically, but there's still that difference. So what was it like going down there and experiencing that? Were you able to get outside off a set and be able to see what the culture was like, and just how was that whole experience?
Well, being in I was in New Orleans for about 3 months. At the end of my third month, I was about ready to go.
Yeah.
So ready to go.
I understand.
And not because it's just like being outside of your home, you're just ready to get back into your space
for sure
of things. So not really because of New Orleans. I actually made very good friends, but like our set was just so beautiful. Like the crew, everybody was just like a family.
Right.
It's only about 1 or 2, people I could do without. You know what I'm saying?
I understand that.
And that's huge. Like we're talking about a set of 200, 300, you know what I mean? Like it was so, and it was a lot of people on the crew from New Orleans and also from other parts of the South. And so it was just, that experience was beautiful. And so I did go out a few times. We went to the Kendrick Lamar concert.
Nice. There you go. Nice.
Down there. Essence happened while I was down there.
Nice.
So I got to see a lot of their, people and their culture. I got to go out to the clubs and bars there and stuff like that. So it was cool. I mean, everybody is mad nice. Everybody is mad cool. There's going to be stuff going on everywhere. It was a lot of keep your head on the swivel.
That's
Things are going on. But because I'm from Philly and from the East Coast, even though I live in LA, that has never gone away. You know what I mean? Like I'm always aware of my surroundings. But yeah, I can't really. What saddened me is because that was my second time in New Orleans. The first time we shot the pilot there for about a month, about 3 weeks. But I really wanted to go to New Orleans to eat, right? But now I cannot eat any of the things that they are essentially known for. So that was a bummer. So I can't really experience the goodness of what they have. People are like, their food is so good. I'm like, no, it's not, because I'm looking for super clean, cuisine, and they just don't do that.
No.
So
it's completely
Chipotle
different.
was Chipotle was my go-to, know, and I'm like, who wants to be in New Orleans eating Chipotle?
That's right. You go to New Orleans, you just have to understand you are gaining weight. There is no healthy eating there.
But it's bigger than gaining weight for me. It's health. So my digestion, I don't process my digestion just does not process the rice, the beans, the gluten, the dough. So I can't eat the beignets. I can't eat the etouffees and the stuff I want to eat.
Right. Exactly. I love that though. And I'm so happy for you, because you came such a long way from Long John Silver's commercials to Disney Plus stuff. So I'm like, it's so awesome. And I loved because like I said, I was doing a little bit of research. I went back on your YouTube channel and found that women reviewing film.
Women on film.
Yes, women on film. That was
females
so funny.
Females on film.
Oh my gosh. If you guys haven't seen that, just be
And that was a knock on from In Living Color. Is that right? With
yes,
men on
that
film?
was So funny enough, In Living Color was supposed to be coming back out. They were trying to bring it back out. And so
Right.
there was a lot of auditions happening, and they wanted you to come with like different there was a lot of auditions happening for writers, for performers, for and so I have a very, very close friend, one of my close friends. She's a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
And so her very close friend is a stand-up comedian as well. And so he's also kind of in the mix with that family, like he knows them and stuff. And so he wrote the first sketch of it.
Oh,
He was like,
that's
"Oh, I got this
fantastic.
idea to like flip it,"
Yeah.
And so he wrote the first sketch of it, and it was just as an audition. Me and her performed it for him,
Right.
as the audition, like for the show. And then we just was like, I think this is funny. Like we should keep, doing it. Although now we will probably be banned and barred.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Oh my
it's so
goodness. Yeah.
PC now.
Yeah.
Like it's so. Sometimes I think like, should I delete that off my page? You know what I'm saying? But I think real people who know like will get it. Like it's hilarious. So yeah, we kept going. And the close friend, she's in it. Zainab Johnson, she's a stand-up comic.
Yeah.
She's in it. She plays the other female. So,
I love that though. And I mean,
let me just tell you how hard it was though. Because here's the thing. I'm from the East Coast, and I actually feel like, we all have masculine and feminine energies. But I actually feel like I have a lot of masculine energy, but I also have feminine. Like I feel like I'm a balance.
Yeah.
But I feel like to a lot of people, I will present a lot more masculine, just in terms of, being outspoken and those things.
Right.
Trying to stay in that was very, very hard. Like we had so many takes where like my hand would be like this and I would be like, girl, like I would be looking like girl,
right.
And, so much femininity that you think you don't carry until you see it and you're like, oh my God.
I'd like, okay,
it was
I see
hard.
it now.
It was very hard to stay in that.
I love that though. It's always about making an experience, having those memories to look back on. And I mean, I love it. And like we talked about a little bit earlier, mental health is a big thing for us, and we even started a whole new podcast about it. So as an industry full of selection, as we like to say, not rejection, how do you keep yourself mentally healthy? Because there's a lot of actors who go on a lot of auditions and never get callbacks or never get any critiques or anything. So how do you keep yourself mentally healthy and continuing moving forward in this industry?
It's interesting because I think it might depend on how you come into the industry as well.
Right.
I was kind of taught that that's what comes with it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't mean that it doesn't affect you. Like, don't get me wrong. I mean, you still, why, okay. So, because I feel like there's different sides to this.
Oh, for sure.
Like, I think there is rejection that's just going to come with it and so if you know the business side of things, literally the business side of things, you could be the best person for the job, does not mean you're going to book it. So you could have given a phenomenal Oscar-winning performance, and it does not mean you're going to book it. Now, it might mean you book the room. And so it might mean that, oh my God, we love her and we'll keep bringing her in. But at the end of the day, it's very few diamond finders, and I think Twinkie Bird calls herself a diamond finder. Twinkie Bird is a casting director, but it's very few. What I mean is, like, there's very few. I'm going to take this no name and show the world this no name. It used to be like that back in the day, but it's just not. Like most companies, most people are looking for. What did they do? Like, what have they done last? What are they doing now? It's just they're so caught up, and I don't believe it's true. I believe part of it is true, but they're so caught up on like you need to have all these names or recognizable faces in your project, and I do not believe that's true. I believe they put a lot of money into these things.
Yep.
And I think that's another thing as an actor you have to put yourself in. If you gave $100 million to this film, you want to guarantee that you're going to get this money back.
Exactly.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And not just get it back, but make something on top of it. And so in their minds, it's like, I can do that with Denzel. I can, and that might be true. You have your superstars, your stars that's going, but everybody around him does not then have to be a name, right?
Right.
But they still kind of live in that. They live in that, and so it's all about what did you just do, what have you done, and so if you know that it's not going to be personal a lot of times, right? So that's one side of it that can help you out. You have to talk to yourself. Know that this is not, always going to be personal.
Right.
This is a business thing. Okay. So it does not mean that you did not do well. Now, if you are going, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
100 auditions and you have not gotten a call back yet, or any type of, today is getting a little tricky because with this, putting on tape, we don't have that typical, like they used to even put out when callbacks were, right? So you knew if I didn't hear about his date, now you don't get that date, right? You don't get that callback date. So now it's just out in the ether and you're like, well, am I being considered or am I not being considered? Because a lot of times you are being considered, but you don't know it. They sent your tape to producers, but you don't know it went to producers. If it was in person, you would physically be going to producers, so you would know that you went to producers.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And then sometimes they are doing it where it's like you are getting the call back and the callback is on Zoom or the callback, so it just depends on how the office is operating. If you don't know that. And I think you should speak up and ask your rep. Can you ask them, how are they running this audition? You know what I'm saying? Right. Do they have a callback date? Are they, just so we know for sanity's sakes, like, are they, just sending straight to producers, and if we book it, we book it. You know what I'm saying? If we don't, we don't. How are they running? Can you ask them how they're running their auditions? It will give you a lot of peace of mind too. But if then you know that there are callback dates or and you're not hearing anything, I would ask your reps, like,
what's going on?
What do you think about these tapes I'm putting up? Do I need to get in a class? Do I need to, because some of it is on us, some of it is on us. Are we giving the best audition? Are we showing up? What are we doing? So I just think there's different sides of it. And then there's just the human side of, regardless of those two, like say I know that it is business.
Right.
Say that I know that I did get a call back, but and I'm still in a rut. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm still just in a rut because I have not booked yet. I think then you have to figure out what works for you in order to get that energy out. Is it screaming in a pillow? Is it exercising? Is it doing yoga? Is it meditation? Is it talking to a friend? Is it talking to a therapist? Trying out different things and seeing what works for you to get that out, because you're going to have to have somewhere for that energy to go. Trust me, I have been in ruts, and actually during the pandemic, you know what I'm saying? Like,
sure.
and not interesting enough, like not because of the pandemic, but because I was at a place where I was just tired.
Right.
I was tired.
Yeah.
As we mentioned, this is my first series regular. I've been in this industry for a very long time. You know what I mean? It had some to do with the industry, but it has some to do with personal, life as well. But yeah, you get tired. When is it going to happen for me? Maybe this isn't, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
For me, maybe it's, and so we do have those, we go through them, but I think you had, and funny enough, when I went through that during the pandemic, I'm typically a talker. I'm typically going to call my friend. I'm going to talk it out. I'm going to, and I had to tell my friend, like, listen, you might not hear or see from me. And and she was scared. She was like, I'm really nervous. Like, because there was a lot of people committing suicide around that time. Yeah. And one of our associates had committed suicide. So it hit kind of close to home too. And she was like, I'm a little bit nervous. Can you just please tell me like what you're going through, or like what,
Right.
And I was like, listen, it's nothing you have not heard before, to be honest with you. And I'm kind of tired of talking.
Yeah.
I know that I have to go through this alone. And so I thank you, for being concerned and wanting to be there for me. But this time around, I cannot talk. I'm going to talk myself into a circle, you know what I'm saying? Like into a frenzy. I got to deal with this on my own. And so I did. I had to talk to myself. I had to talk to myself out loud, write things down, figure out things, what was going on, what I wanted to do, what I didn't want to do. And of course, lean on spirit, lean on God and my spirit gang, as I like to call it, gang.
Yeah.
My spirit gang. I don't know what people out there believe, but I definitely believe in spirit guides and all those good stuff, all that good stuff. So I had to go to my guides. I had to go to God, and I had to, really get clear on some things. And it's not a one and done. I think that's the problem with life, especially here in America. I can't speak for a bunch of different countries, but in America, we're sold this American dream. And it's interesting because on one hand, it's like you're told, get over it. Life is tough, da-da-da. But on one hand, you're sold a fairy tale. Like life actually should not be tough. And so when tough things happen, you really are wondering why it's happening to you. And that's so strange. Like that's strange. Then if you're Black and you've had it tough mostly all your life, you got an extra layer of tough. You actually then start to belittle what you've been through.
Yes. Yeah.
And I've done that. Like I've done that my whole life, which is why it came to a head during the pandemic, is because I was very much of the mindset of like, I ain't really go through nothing crazy. When you hear, we measure, right? So, and we also get used to trauma and struggle in the Black community. And so we think it's normal. And so we do say things like, what? Oh, that's nothing. Like, get over it. Everybody go. And it's like, no, it does not matter what the trauma is. It really does not matter. It could have been a look. It could have been a saying from one of your teachers. It could be full on abuse. It could be molestation. It could be racism. It could be all of these things. It doesn't matter. It matters how it affected you. And so I used to be like, I didn't go through anything that, and just keep pushing it down and belittling like this trauma that you had. And it's like, no, you need to honor your trauma. You need to honor it. And specifically, if you can honor it and deal with it when it happens, will be the best.
Yes.
Because when you don't is when it builds up.
Agreed.
And it becomes a part of what you think is your personality, and it's not.
And it's not.
And so, I'm still working on that stuff and clearing out stuff. And, it's just an ongoing thing. I want people to know that you're not alone, and it's not a one and done. Like, don't think of it like, because even if that thing is one and done, you've dealt with that trauma and it doesn't affect you anymore. We're going to continue to go through life. Life stuff is going to happen. Things are not going to rub you the right way all the time. Have some tools on how to deal with that.
That's right.
Exactly.
Life's a journey. It's not just like a little stop. It's a journey, literally an ongoing journey. 3 things really popped out there that you said. One, that you brought it back to the beginning of the conversation, that to keep in mind that this is a business and you can do everything right, and the business decision is why you didn't get it. I think that's critical. 2, the fact that when you said that it's very important to understand that you need to keep learning. When you said, do I need to go back to class? What because if you ever get to that point where you think, well, I'm a great actor, so I don't know why I'm not getting it, right? There's got to be a point where, you're continuing that craft. You're learning, you're growing, because that's critical on the journey is growth, right? And then the other thing is knowing when to step away. Because like you said, sometimes people are terrified to just go, I need me time. I have to be alone. I have to deal with this. I have to take care of myself. And people are terrified to do that sometimes. So those 3 things in that conversation that you were having right there are critical. Understand it's a business, and no matter how great you are, sometimes it doesn't happen. You're never the best. You got to keep learning. You got to keep growing. You got to keep doing. And when you need to step away, step away. It's critical. I love everything you said about that. And can I just tell you, the whole time it's been coming back to me, the little videos that we see with the little white kid and the little Black kid running and hugging and all that kind of stuff. When you were talking about how it should just be marketed to people, Kids, when they came up to you and said, "Oh, you're my favorite character," because they don't see color. They just see people. I love this person and I'm going to give them a big hug. And I can't get that out of my head. You are so right about that. We shouldn't be talking about representation of it has to have this or it has. Why can't it just be we're all people? We're all people.
I think kids do see color.
Well,
I think
in the
kids
sense
do
that,
see color.
yeah.
But I think what you're saying is kids do not see prejudice.
Exactly.
They don't see that color being a negative thing until they're
right.
taught it being a negative
That's
thing.
right. That's exactly.
And so they definitely see color. Like, I mean, listen, my sister is light skinned, and I remember when we were kids, like I remember she came home and said like, "Oh, I'm something like I'm white, you're brown," because it's not even race for them. They really just see color. They're like,
right.
"Oh, I noticed that you are brown or you are, whatever." So they do see color, but yes, they don't see the prejudice.
No, I love that clarification, right? That's a better way to say it. They see color. They see the differences. They don't see the hate or the prejudice because they haven't been taught that yet. I love that. That's a great clarification. And I think that maybe that's the way moving forward. We should all address that. They see differences. They see that, because we are all different, but we're also all the same. We're all humans.
Right. And that's the interesting thing about humanity is like, we are all different, but at the end of the day, we all still want similar things.
Exactly.
We want to connect with people. We want to be loved. We want to love. We want, you know what I mean? Like, so the things that make us different need to be seen, because I think a lot of adults use that "I don't see color" thing to not have to address it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
Which is why I made the distinction and the clarity, because no, if you don't see my color, then you don't see me.
Right. That's right. That's right.
How can you look at me and not see my color? That's strange. You must be colorblind. So yes, I love to make that distinction because it's important. You need to see our differences, but you need to accept them.
That's right.
And it don't mean that you have to necessarily think that they're right in terms of like, because now we could get into like LGBTQ, all these things like, but you do have to see them. Like, don't erase me, like don't erase me, but you don't also have to agree. But you don't have to be filled with hate either.
That's right.
Exactly. I love, it's a quote by Emmanuel Acho, and he says, you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And to be able to have that conversation is so important and so valuable in society, because that's how we do move forward. That's how we continue to start that process. So I can't thank you enough for agreeing to come on the show, because this was an absolutely beautiful conversation.
It really was.
Not just about the projects and industry, but just about life in general and society and how we see each other and all of these different things. So I just thank you so much for your time today. You're absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you for having
I have
me.
one question for her. I just got to say this, and I'm just going to throw it out there, because if this whole acting gig doesn't work out for you, have you considered politics? We really need people like you to put that out there, to speak the truth and have clarification.
Like,
if it doesn't work out, you might consider a run. I'm just saying, we need smart, bright, beautiful people like yourself.
I mean, since I was a little girl, people would, "Are you going to be a lawyer? Are you going to be," this has literally always been me. I was joking with my friend the other day. I'm like, I'm no longer at the age where it's kind of like shocking. Now it's like, it's measuring up. It's like, yeah, you should be, I guess, this, this passionate, this smart, whatever. But when I was younger, it would be like, who is this little,
Well, don't change. Own it, because it's beautiful and you are awesome, and don't change a thing. Don't change a thing.
Thank you.
And it's,
Thank you.
It's all about social media now, and we want to direct people towards your way. So where can people follow you?
Sabrina, SabrinaRe, V as in Victor, ELLE, Sabrina Revelle. On Instagram, I mean, that's really mainly where I am these days. But yeah, typically it's going to be my name, Sabrina Revelle.
Fantastic. Yes. Easy enough. Well, again, thank you so much, and you're amazing, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Bye. Oh my goodness, man. Wow. These are the conversations that we love, that move us. Like, that whole time I'm just like, just in awe of what she is saying,
Yeah.
not only like about her process and how she does things when it comes to the entertainment industry, but about just life in general. That's why we do this stuff. That's why we have these conversations, so that it can start to have more conversations. It's a domino effect, man.
Oh my gosh, the intellect that she has, it was unreal. Like the thought process, this is not a woman that if you ask her a question, she's going to say because.
Yeah.
She understands, and she's got it, and there's a reason why she thinks the way she thinks and puts out there what she, and I love that.
Yeah.
I love people who aren't afraid to be themselves and say what it is and say life. And oh my gosh, what a great conversation.
So good, man. So good. Thank you again, Sabrina Revelle, for coming on the show.